Hey guys, Bill here with RENU Therapy Cold Plunge tanks. In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up your cold plunge now that you've taken off the pallet and it's in its place. So if everything goes right, in 20 minutes you should be in this doing your first cold plunge. The first step we want to do is take the insulated lid off, set aside, and you want to take out anything that might be inside. So right now we have, this customer ordered a full cover top. Of course you have your step and any maintenance. These are some maintenance items. If you order those, filters and things like that, they will be inside. So you want to get all that out of there. And then your next step is you want to go ahead and open the mechanics bay door. So all the mechanics are in here. Of course, they're protected from the elements in the water from when you're splashing around. So to take the door off, there's a couple latches here, and you want to drop it to horizontal and just pop it off. I always just set it aside and out of the way so I don't damage it. Then we're going to want to open up the valves and tighten everything up on the unions and just make sure this thing's ready to be turned on. I always like to have a flashlight handy because it sometimes is dark inside there. So before I get into that, I want to show you some of the union on this side and the shutoff are a little hard to see through the video, so I brought out a sample just to make it easier for you guys to see. So inside, this is the pump assembly, and it is right here. So you have your shutoff valve, a union, pump, filter housing with the filter inside. This top piece is the drain spigot, and we'll get into that later as well. But for right now, the first thing you want to do is open up your valves. These are called ball valves. If they're in this position, crossways to the flow of the water, they're closed. If they're going the same way as the pipe, they're open. So there's one here and there's one at the top there. You want to make sure that these are open. And the reason these are here is if for something happened in shipping, there's something broken and it's leaking, you want to be able to shut the water off so all the water doesn't drain in your mechanics bay. So open, and you just want to make sure they're tight. There's one here and there's one here. And to do so, you'll reach in there and you will tighten those up. Once these are tightened and your valves are open, you're pretty much ready to go. Now when you're inside the mechanics bay, up here you'll notice a little shelf, and inside there is a filter, there's a wrench, a giant wrench, and a manual. The manual is the chiller manual. The filter is an extra one. Don't worry, there's one already inside. We always ship one inside. And the filter, if it's too tight, you can use the filter to unscrew the filter housing when you do the filter change, which will be in another video. I don't use the wrench because I can just use my hands, but you know, if you're not super strong, you can just use the wrench. The next thing is you want to attach the chiller. We ship it unattached just so that it doesn't get damaged. So each hose has an in or an out. And what will happen is you want to put the in on the in port and the out on the out port. The ports are labeled on the chiller. That's why you need the flashlight. Each brand of chiller, we use two, they're reversed. So you want to make sure you can see the in and the out. It's much like a car battery, the negative sign and the plus sign. So it's right there, you can see it. And so to attach that, you literally take off the rubber cap. And I wouldn't throw these away. They might come in handy. So I just put them in the little shelf area. And then this is called the nozzle mount. That just screws on. Excuse the sound. And you want to do hand tight. Doesn't need to be really wrenched down, just hand tight's fine. And then you want to get the out And when I say out, it means it's going out into the tank. You set that thing right on top of the threaded piece and start screwing it down. This is only really 15-20 minutes worth of work. This is super easy. So now your valves are open, your unions are tight, your chiller's attached, and you're ready to get the electrical plugged in. And so you'll notice that you have we have a power strip up there which has a ground fault protector, circuit breaker, and a plug-in with about 8 foot of cord. There's a little grommet right here. This pokes through. You pull it out as much as you need and plug it in, and you're good to go. I would put water in first before you plug it in because you don't want to run the pump dry. So the next step would be to start filling it up with water. If you want to use it right away, put a bunch of ice in there to prime the water down to cold. Many people want to use it right away, so I just say put a bunch of ice in there and get this thing going. If you don't, the chiller will bring the water down from ambient down to your desired temperature, but sometimes it takes a day. And if you're in a hot climate, maybe a day and a half. So you kind of want to, if you want to use it right away, get the ice. So the next thing is, once the unit is got water in it, past the intake at the bottom, you'll see a small intake. Once the water's past that, you can plug it in. And when you do so, you'll start to see the water come out of the ejection port, and it'll start flowing. And you just leave that, basically if you fill it up, I would say about 6 inches past that port, you're past the injection port, you plug it in, and things will start running. And we usually set it for 47 when we do the factory test. And by the way, we do test every unit before it goes out. We run water through it, we test the chiller, and do a complete test. And we usually set it at 47, just to, it's kind of a round number or what have you. So this could pop off, or you can kind of just leave it hanging, doesn't really matter. And you'll notice that there's 2 types of chillers, Eco or Active Aqua. And hopefully by next year there'll be the RENU chiller, because we're redoing and making our own, which will be even better. So for the Active Aqua, you press set, and then you go up and down based on the temperature you want. For the Eco, you hold the set. There's a difference. Active Aqua, you just press it and adjust. The Eco, you want to hold the set button down until it starts blinking, and then you can make your adjustments. Now, the final most important part. Now that you've taken all the stuff out, you've opened the shutoff valves, you've tightened the unions, you've put water in it, you've plugged it in, you've set your chiller. The most important thing you want to do is wait 15 half hours, at least probably about 30 minutes, I would say. And you want to confirm that there's no water leaks. Sometimes you'll get a little dribble or a little dribble. When these things ship, they do get jostled around a bit. We test it beforehand, but I can't control the truckers, all right? So it's very important before you walk away that you make sure there's no water or any leaks in this thing before you button up the mechanics bay door and wrap things up. If there is, don't worry. Usually it's a really super easy fix, but you just don't want to walk away with it without double checking that. After that, you're good to go. You can go ahead and do a cold plunge. Enjoy.